Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Tuesday, August 12, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a reverse aging health call tomorrow night after 9:15 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday. Got a lot of stuff to explain and share with everyone. We talk about the quantum system and how that will be structured, how we're going to use it, and age factors and everything else. You want to make sure you're in a comfortable position, relaxed into your body, still as a statue, focused on your breath rising and falling, with no outside distractions. Ecstasy is our very nature. Not to be ecstatic is simply unnecessary. To be ecstatic is natural, spontaneous. It needs no effort to be ecstatic. It needs great effort to be miserable. That's why you look so tired, because misery is really hard work to maintain. It is really difficult, because you are doing something against nature, Osho. You ever look at people that are, miserable, stressed, they say they're worn out? You can't miss it. You can feel it. And you really don't care to be around them at all, because the vibrational frequency is so absolutely in the sewer. And you look at the planet, you look at all the people, there's a lot of that going on. And then we get into the secure nest. We get into them and we don't venture out. We get so used to being in our little nest that we get less and less and less. We atrophy. We don't venture out of our cozy little nest of habitual life. We do certain things certain way, every day, morning, noon, and night. We don't change or shift up anything. It's too difficult for many, and so we stay there. We don't reach out, and most people are that way. And why is that? Well, ego mind is insecure, so then that being is insecure. They don't care to upset the apple cart, so to speak, so they stay in that little nest of their habitual life. The place where you don't know what could happen next. And you may have noticed that your ego is a master at creating habits. It craves to create the perfect comfort zone so it can feel the security. Remember, it's super insecure, really big time. So it's always craving security all the time. Sameness, security, sameness, and receive an impenetrable force field of safety. That's the comfort zone for most people on this planet. That's different for everyone, not the same, right? It's like for an adrenaline seeker, somebody does parachuting and bungee jumping and jumping out of a plane and all that stuff every weekend. That's their security. They do it. Or, constantly snowmobiling in the winter, or biking or hiking or doing all that stuff all the time, constantly, years and years and years. That's their security. See, just to share how different the security looks with different people, right? And I had a neighbor out here, he's in his 50s, and avid dirt biker, motorcycle biker. Had his outfit on, his pads, everything, helmet. And he would go up in the mountains and he would jump. And well, one day he got in a serious accident. He could have died. Messed up his arm, messed up his head, and he quit. He sold his motorcycle and everything, and he moved to suburbia. So he's out here in the mountains and everything, and he just said that now we're tired of the dust, we're tired of the noise, so we're going to move to suburbia. So that's what he did. Totally changed, completely changed his safety, his security nest. Right? That took a lot. All right, and then what does he do? He sets up another nest and totally different, because he's no longer dirt biking up in the mountains. And then that settles in. You say, well, every floor is straight and there's no stairs, and you just walk straight in from one room to another. So, whoever you are, you have some form of comfort zone established that is there for you to grow out of and expand through. Now, the universe did that for him. Not to him, but for him. Shook up everything. Right? And sometimes that happens. It's like when being out here, and as many times as we've moved, it shakes things up. You don't. You're just glad to lay your head on a pillow in a bed. You're great. You appreciate things more. You're much more grateful. If you sit in a sedentary security nest, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, you don't grow. You're stale, but you don't know that. So you just keep going through the sets. It feels safe. It feels secure. That's what happens. It feels safe and it feels secure. So what we do is that we stay there, and the longer we're there, the more we stay there, and the more we turn off different opportunities and adventures. No, that's not for me. And I've said this before. When we are, wherever we go, we're home. The home is the God within us. See, it's not a building or brick and mortar or anything like that. It's wherever we are, we're home. Okay? Yeah, we have a sheltered roof over our head, place to sleep, place to eat, and that's what homes are for: place to eat, place to sleep, place to protect you from the elements. But when you look at this is what has transpired on this planet. Most of the people have gotten into nesting, in security nests. They build these nests and they stay there. And they become complacent, and they don't become knowledgeable because they don't reach outside that safety net, that nest. And so they don't learn. And they don't pick up much. They sit there and they say, they don't know what's going on. And they're not really curious because they're in that mode. So, is that the majority? Yes, it's the majority. It's like every year there's people, they take a vacation, and they do their vacation 1-2 weeks, whatever, and that's it, right? They have holidays, they celebrate the holidays, and that's it. And when something comes along that kind of shakes that up, they freak out. And when you're in a comfort zone and you're used to everything, the universe brings in something and changes it all. Everything. Your regimen, everything changes all at once. But you can look at it as being positive or negative. See, when that happens with me, I look at it as being positive. I am in deep gratitude for the universe for that happening. Okay? Because it shifts your perspective. It changes your outlook. Now, a lot of people, are they going to step out of that? Out of their nice little secure nest? No. They'll live there until they leave the body. And that's what the majority of people do. This is why we don't have the high amount of interaction amongst the population of the planet. And when I mean interaction, I mean one-to-one communication, not through phones, not through computers, but one-on-one. The old verbal, eye-to-eye communication, hand-to-hand. You remember in our country, at one time, you would shake someone's hand, and that would be your bond with them. That would be your agreement, trust. My word is my trust, is your trust. You shake hands. I'm giving you my word, and you shake hands. That's how deals were consummated. Now you got to do a contract or an agreement for every little teeny thing. Why? Because the other party is super insecure. Super insecure. Now that's not a negative; it's a positive because it gives you a comprehension of what they're about, who they are. Constantly worried. See, this is what happens when you constantly worried about getting screwed. You're going to get screwed. It's just keep coming, and then it'll build more with you. And then you'll think that everybody, no matter what, you got to have an agreement with everybody. You got to have an agreement with this, agreement with this, agreement with this, agreement with this. Okay, and the agreements aren't foolproof. I can't tell you how many agreements I've seen broken, and nothing was done about it. Okay, it's not a contract. Okay, it's an agreement. So two people agree to doing something, right? Where they're both happy with what they've agreed upon. And this is all about insecurity. And it's connected to ego mind. Okay? Our natural state of being is not insecure. But in ego mind, most people on this planet are highly insecure. This is why we have such a drug dependency in our country alone. This is why we have so many issues. This is why so many people don't get the big picture. They just don't. And this is why, you folks get so frustrated because you do what you can to interact and communicate, right? But then there are things that show up and you go, what is that about? It's kind of like some people have told me they feel like they're walking on eggshells because they're so careful on what they say. Because before they would say something and that being would not be, wouldn't faze them. And now they blow up on them when they say something. So it's maneuvering. The sense or the feeling that we interact, and I've had a lot of people say that they're looking for people that are on the same page. That, they're just they're worn out communicating with people that have had changed personalities and character. It's just burning up time, and they just don't get anywhere. So they seek out, they manifest people that are pretty much on the same page. Okay, unify, come together, which helps get people out of their comfort zone, out of their nest, and start doing like in this country. What can I do? Or what can we do? Or how can we consummate this? Or how do we get this started? And it's like little mini mastermind groups where people come together and they're on the same page. They comprehend each other. They communicate and they configure, and that's how it works. So when you come across people like that, you build a bond and you build an association. I don't care if it's one or two or more. And this is how we will get things done in our country and on this planet. You watch. This is how we do it. And, I have a friend in another country. He told me last night that, he's tired. He's not going to wait for people. If it is to be, it's up to him. And so he's made things happen within that decision already. Because he said, why am I sitting here waiting for people? I'm going to do this. If it is to be, it's up to me. So a lot of people are just waiting for things. You know what I mean? They're just waiting. And they wait, and they wait, and they wait. Well, the wait will take care of itself. So it's becoming active, proactive, and getting creative on, what you could do, how you can participate in certain things. Doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be, spectacular, just little things that people can start doing. See, the American people are not proactive, and we all know that. They've kind of atrophied over the years, in the decades. This is why we have such a splinter, right? A separation of peoples in our country, because you have people that see one side of the coin and people that see the other side of the coin, but neither of them see both sides of the coin. See what I mean? So it's split by the third side of the coin, which is the edge. And this is where we're at right in this very now moment on this planet Earth, the outer rim of the Milky Way galaxy, in this universe. This is where we're at. And, stemming from a comfortable nest due to the ego mind. Everything in this world, as we all know, changes. Change is illusion. And the flux of matter is what makes life so exciting, spontaneous, and dynamic here. Your body is not the same body that you atomically had 1 year ago. And 10,000 years from now, you may not recognize or comprehend half of what you see. As long as the ego is in charge and thinks it's running the show, it will be holding you tightly to the lie of safety by sticking like super glue to its comfort zone. This is why people have comfort zones. This is why they develop them. How many people have you come across have these little comfort nests that they burrow into? You can't get them to budge outside of that. You can't get them to go on any adventure. You can't get them to interact, to do anything but what they feel comfortable with in their nest. Have you ever experienced that? Maybe you've experienced it with yourself. And there's nothing wrong with being comfortable. It can become a precursor to a deep spiritual, mystical life experience. But see, we have to always address the ego. See, the ego will often coax us to stay in an old rut or pattern just to keep its distance from the fear of the unknown. It believes that it is better to stay with what it has known for years, even if it feels like you are shriveling up in some lukewarm bath where there is no heat, excitement, or pizzazz. Now, this could be a relationship, a job, salary, overweight body, lack of vacation, or just a convenient, repetitive daily routine. And the ego would rather be comfortable in a velvet rut for 70-plus years than take a risk to step into true aliveness. I mean, what are we here for on this planet? To enjoy life, right? And with life, there's unknowns and adventures and things that we create that work. And they're fun. And sometimes they're scary. Sometimes they're scary. Sometimes they're euphoric. So, it's kind of like your choice, right? If you're sitting in a rut and you know it, and you say to yourself, I got to do something different. I got to do something different, right? You don't know what, but you say to yourself, I can't keep doing this over and over again, the same thing every day. It gets monotonous, gets boring. This is how people get bored too. Okay? They don't know why they're bored because they're in this rut. They're in this comfort zone, this nest, whatever you want to call it, security zone. And so what they do is that then they say to themselves after a while, it says, this is, life's boring. There's just really nothing to do. And what are we doing? What do we? But you're the one that can command it or step outside, do something different. change the regimen. That's very disturbing to a lot of people. Change their cycle, what they do, starting from morning to night. What they do, what their habits are, day in, day out, month after month, year after year. Some of us will say, the universe comes in and pulls us out of that. I've been in situations where I didn't know, in the now, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea. But I didn't look at it as something mind-boggling and destructive and torturing. I just took it in stride. I just embraced it. And I just knew that the universe, things would work out. Things would be okay. And that's what happens. But when you do the other way, and you grip on, and you're worried, you're stressed, you're feared, you're freaked out, more comes in. But when you learn to not take it personally, to just let it float away, and you just know that things will come in, and things will get set up, and you'll get situated. And that's what happens. And you get to that, and you realize that anything that comes along, you don't take it personally. It's there. You look at it, you meet it, you review it in wonderment, and then you just kind of let it go. You say, things will take care. Things will work out. And they do. But when you're on the opposite end of that, and you're doubting, and you're worrying, you're stressing, fearing, then they don't. See, this is why you hear me talk about taking life too seriously. Most of us take it too seriously. Okay? And this is what causes us to get bound up, stressed, where we become worried and fearful and anxiety-filled. There's a lot of people in this country alone full of anxiety. You may not know it on the outside, but they're full of anxiety. Every walk of life. Every walk of life. Doesn't matter your position or status in society. And this all comes from sitting in that nest, being in that nest. After a while, things that take place that normally if you were kind of like, you'd move and nest, move and nest, move and nest. So you wouldn't constantly be in that same nest all the time. You would do things differently. You would try things, right? And you would have more fun in life than just cogitating or just sitting or just doing what you do every day. Some people will have jobs they go to that they don't like. Number one, I know this. I interviewed lots of people through the years. They would go to jobs they didn't like. Why? Well, because they had to do this, this, and this, so they work that job. Other people would do other things because they said, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, and so they would do them. And we're creatures of habit, so we get in the habits real easy, and the ego mind is the habit. What about heart-mindedness? Well, in heart-mindedness, you're not doing any of that stuff. You're floating. You kind of just float along. You're not, slamming your arms and digging the water and just splashing all over the place to get someplace. You just float because you know that the universe is always there helping you. Always. It's always there. And this is how you draw manifestation and bringing things in through the universe. And we're part of everything. See, that's the whole point. We're not separate from anything. We're part of everything. That's how it works. So, in the quiet time of this meditation, contemplate or focus on the fact of, and remember, you're not thinking, but viewing. If you're in a nest, okay? If you're in a comfort zone, and you know you're in a comfort zone. Now, you're not judging yourself, right? You're not critiquing yourself. You're not evaluating yourself. You're just viewing from the outside in. You're kind of looking at you, right? And what you do during the course of the day, the morning, the day, the night. Every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours, 24/7. And you'll find, you'll know that you are. It's not negative. It's not a bad thing. But to know that is, and to embrace that is something. It's very empowering. Because then you'll start communicating with the universe and having it bring in different things, so that you're not in that zone that you will not leave. You will not go outside that zone. And and when people don't do that, they become sedentary and they just inoperative. They just don't operate after a while. They won't go anywhere, they won't do anything, they just stay within that course, they stay within that direction, and that's it. I'll join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, focused on your breath rising and falling, relaxed into your body. You will always be safe. Relax and notice how safe you are in this very moment. All that you fear is simply an illusion of the mind. It's time to let down your guard and enjoy the beauty of beingness. There's nothing that can truly hurt the real you. You are an eternal spiritual being who cannot be wet by water or ever burnt by fire. This universe is always holding you in the most gentle, cozy embrace. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and the following morning. We will return here Wednesday, August 13, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call and our time for change call after 9:15 p.m. Eastern. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, and purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on within you or outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.